So, it's nothing like having technical difficulties to make a day interesting. So, we are live. My name is Andrea Lane with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate. And I am joined by the lovely Eddie Suarez. We're like having a picnic, 30 minutes with
Very
a realtor
close
today.
to each other right now.
So, we are talking today. Eddie is with Omega Go Creation.
Correct.
And I feel like everybody must know you from me because I'm always like, I'll call Eddie. Eddie will help you. You'll hear from Eddie. And we've had like some really fun stuff. So I don't know if you noticed, like 2 days ago was like where you went down to a roof in Bellevue for me.
Yes.
And we had that roof replaced that was from storm damage. So I was like, oh wow, like just how fast time and all the crazy adventures or roofs I've made you get on or that kind of stuff. So we wanted to talk about, because we're coming into, well, we're already in March, and that is a very heavy hail, very heavy tornadoes. Although, I mean, we haven't had a severe tornado, but
hopefully we still don't want.
Right.
We don't want a tornado.
So, we wanted to kind of talk about some of the things that, as a homeowner, that maybe people are making mistakes with, as far as like just things they do with their home, their exteriors, the roofs, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Well, especially because we've come across a couple people where they didn't know how to make a claim, what was the difference between. So we're going to kind of touch base with some of those things. And then Deanne asked about adding value to a house, so we can kind of talk about some of that stuff.
Awesome.
And then, some of the variances, I would say, to products that are out there that maybe people don't know about. I had somebody send me, so there's a company somewhere close by that is handing out flyers for get a metal roof for $1. And I was like, right. So for those of you who don't know, while metal roofs are very pretty, they are also very expensive.
Extremely expensive, especially now.
Oh, because of the price of just
literally
material?
went about, I would say about 2 weeks ago when everything started.
Okay.
About 10 to 15% even higher.
Oh, wow.
Which was already at.
But it was expensive before. So, because I had someone ask about, like, just doing, like, a front entryway for a roof or a front of a garage section. And it was like, yeah, so that'll be like $5,000. And I was like, oh my gosh, you could get some whole roofs for $5,000. So, in the comparison of the two. So I was like, so if it sounds too good to be true, you do what my client did. They texted me a picture of the flyer, like, what do you know about this? And I was like, yeah, don't do that, because there's a lot more behind the metal roof than just that. Talk about that.
I think they try to get into the insurance. Oh, with only $1, and then we'll have your insurance pay for it kind of deal. I've heard of that part, where they can bring in their insurance and, oh, don't worry, the insurance will pay for it. And we'll talk about it, like she said, about the insurance, exactly what they can, they won't, things like that. So we'll go from there.
Okay. So let's start off with, so when the storms happen, what would you say is the biggest mistake homeowners make when, I mean, besides just not putting a claim in?
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like, besides not even putting a claim in until their neighbors do, is not knowing somebody, or especially their agent, of, hey, this storm came, can you send one to just inspect our roof?
Right. Because I think most people realize if you call me and you say, hey, what's Eddie's number, or you call Eddie's number, because we're going to put it in the comments for this video so that you can reach out to him, is that to call somebody you know, love, and trust.
Correct. To
look at your roof. Because these fly-by-night companies come in town because they think, oh, we're going to make a quick buck. Mm-hmm. We're going to hop on your roof. We're going to look at it. And they don't know what they don't know. And a lot of them aren't even from here, so they don't know our weather conditions. They don't know the code requirements as far as, like, ice barrier and stuff. So those are, to me, some of the biggest. And, like, I know there's, even in my neighborhood, another scam, because I got the phone call, and then my husband got a phone call where they were like, hey, we're going to be in your neighborhood checking roofs. And there was a catastrophic event. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. What catastrophic event was that happened that I completely missed and didn't tell anybody about? So I would say that's number one, is have somebody that you trust to come look at your roof.
Yeah, because I think it ties hand in hand. I think it goes in, hey, my neighbors get a new roof, and I didn't even know, I'm going to file a claim. Before you even get to that claim status, I think it is important, is literally the most important thing for someone to look at it. And again, someone to look at it that's local. Because someone, again, if you do get a storm, unfortunately, we do get those storm chasers that actually get a local number and can even give you a card right away and say, hey, we're local. And that's very easy to do. But if you're not recommended by your agents should have at least 3 people that they'd recommend for them to come and look at your roof and see exactly what happened before you get to that claim status.
Okay.
But they jump on your roof and say, hey, your roof is damaged. And obviously, as a homeowner, I mean, even yourself, how many times do you check your roof?
Or I do ever? Because...
Okay, maybe you're the exception.
Because how many times have I called you? I was like, hey... So I'm getting ready to list this house. My house across the street really needs your love and attention because the shingles are all curling up and it looks like me with curly hair on their roof. So I'm like, I pay attention pulling out of my driveway very frequently to roofs, but I know that not everybody does.
And you're in that field,
right?
So you kind of have to at least know what's going on, but. If you take your regular homeowner, I would say 90% or even more, they never get on the roof.
Right.
Or know what's even up there.
Or what to look for. Because I think there's a lot of terms that they use that, even I don't necessarily know them, but like grain. I know what the grain is. Grains, I know where the hit spots are. So like when you see a roofer going up with chalk, because they're circling all the little spots that, where there's been hit marks for like hail and so forth. And looking for, and it's essentially, it's math. Math to see like how much percentage of that section or area would be needing to be replaced, etc.
So it does come, I mean, we can backtrack a little bit. So let's say you are in that status. Unfortunately, we get a storm and you do have to file a claim. So the decision's always on the adjuster. The adjuster will come and do the actual inspection. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your contractor is going to tell you. It matters what the actual adjuster is going to see up there. So what they do, and what Andrea you're talking about, is per square, they have to find so many hits. Again, I can't discuss insurance, but particularly every insurance wants anywhere on a square, which is a 10 by 10 area, they want anywhere between 6 to 8 hits. And that's on all the elevations. So your front, your back, sides elevation, they want to see them that they actually got hit. Adjusters are extremely smart. They have a system called Hail Trace. So what that does for them is they know exactly what size of hail hit it, actually how it hit it, from where it was coming, from what angle it hit. So they're very particular. So all these adjusters are extremely smart. So it's either you have hail or you don't. I tell the homeowners, hey, unfortunately there's not enough hail damage up there, which is always a good thing, because now you don't have to worry about filing the claim and going through all that whole process. And the other side is obviously there is damage up there. Let's get you a new roof.
So, and that's part of why, we always recommend calling somebody out to look at it first. Is you don't have to make an insurance claim to have somebody come look at your roof. So you can just have somebody come look at the roof, and then if they feel that there's enough damage or something up there, always get like a second or third opinion. And then from there, make your insurance claim, because the more claims you have against your house as a whole, whether it be roof or other stuff, will increase your homeowner's insurance. So it's just good to err on the side of caution as far as some of the storms go. But like, I know in 2013 out here, we got that huge hailstorm. And like, I'd only been in my house 3 years, and I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I'm going to have to put a new roof on. And so we wound up having to put a new roof on because there was enough damage, as a whole, because it was so severe. Where other times, obviously, if you chose not to file the claim, you could choose to do so. But that was where we were talking. Okay, and I don't know what it's called, but you said it's called the difference between, and I'll let you roll.
And okay, so it's very important, and this happens so much during the storm season. It's like, hey, unfortunately, this happened. Let's file a claim. Okay, I think it's very important for all homeowners to understand that there's different types of policies out there. So there is a difference between an ACB policy, which is your actual cash value, and an RCB policy, which is your replacement cost value. I can explain that in very simple terms, is in the sense that, okay, let's say you have an ACB policy. They're also going to be cheaper. So if you're paying a premium monthly that's very cheap, that should be kind of a red flag to say, hey, why is my insurance so cheap? The difference between ACB and RCB is that actual cash value policies out there decrease. So it does include age, wear, and tear. Okay, your RCB policy is your replacement cost value to whatever this date is. I can give a quick example if that's okay.
No, absolutely.
Example, yeah, let's break it down. So your ACB policy, let's say you do have an ACB policy. Storm hit, filed a claim. You went through the whole process, and hey, the insurance said, hey, the total damage of this roof for you get a full replacement is going to be $8,000. Well, unfortunately, you have a deductible, which is also important for you to know what is my deductible that I have to pay, because that is your responsibility. Let's say in this case you have a $2,000 deductible, correct? So again, now you're taking that $8,000. Now the insurance is only responsible to pay you $6,000 because it decreased it because you have to match that $8,000 with your deductible. But now, again, you have an ACB policy, and that, let's say, the adjuster again determines everything, the age, the wear and tear, so many years has affected this. We're going to take another $2,000 off because it's this damage. So now let's say another simple factor, they took another $2,000. So now you're at $4,000 that you're coming out of pocket to meet your $8,000 to meet whatever that full replacement roof. And again, RCB, the only thing you're entitled for is meeting your deductible. So it's extremely important because I have gotten to the fact that, hey, your roof got bought and they're so happy, and at the end of the day it's like, well, I didn't know that it had an ACB policy. So we're at that point where now the homeowner is not, well, I was paying a premium of this and it was still high, but I didn't know I had an ACB policy. At that point you can't change it. So it's extremely very important that you guys
check with your insurance.
Correct.
Find out what type of policy that they have you on.
Correct.
Because you may pay a little more monthly for your home insurance, but in Nebraska, we have storms pretty much every year. But the lifespan of a roof here is 6 to 8 years. Would you agree?
I agree with you, and it does depend, and we'll tackle on this what type of roof you have up there as well. But the average is between 6 and 7 years, because the odds of you getting a storm are very likely. So it's not even the shingle itself, it's the storm. You're putting it through various variables of nature, sun, snow, things like that. So it does do its job, but it can only do so much.
Right. So, and that's, kind of the other factor that goes into it right now, where everybody's having to compete really heavy for properties. A lot of property owners have no idea how old their roof is. And what's interesting is that it doesn't even matter if it's a house they've lived in for 15 years. You still see people go, do not know how old the roof is. And, even with like you guys, because that's what I had you go look at one of the roofs, and I was like, hey, can you kind of tell me how this one is? And, it varies, because there's some that can look rough, but they're still okay.
Correct.
Because you had one you looked at for me last year where you're like, nope, this is okay, but, depending on how much life or what storms, obviously, happen, would change its longevity and how long it could go.
Okay.
And now some of the new composite roofs are, like, really cool. And of course, I think
it's colors. They're bringing different colors out there.
What is it? A Da Vinci? Is that the Da Vinci product?
So so there's levels. Let me tackle on that real quick. Obviously, your normal shingle, which before they even came a normal, they used to be an organic shingle.
Organic 3-tab, and you can tell because they
just go up and they crumble up, and they become paper, basically.
And if you have that, there were recalls for some of those.
Yes.
And insurance will pay to replace it even without storm damage because the organic 3-tab is not available. So if you have like maybe 1 or 2 shingles, they can't replace that 1 or 2 shingles. They just have to replace the whole thing. Plus, they'd rather have a better product. Because what was it about the organic shingle that just was like?
Well, the way it was made.
Okay.
It's organically. So you putting it through a bunch of water and storms that it's not going to do it. So a storm does have to happen though.
Okay.
But it can be significant as it was windy.
Right.
And that
like last year.
And yeah. And a simple windstorm can obviously blow a shingle away. So let's say it's composite, then it's easy enough for us to go ahead and replace it, repair it. But we can't replace or repair an organic shingle. So therefore, the adjuster will come up there, see it's an organic, boom, right away, writes up for a new roof. But again, you write up a new roof, and then again, it's very important for you to know, hey, it's ACV, because then they'll look at your organic roof, and they're going to depreciate it a lot because it's an older shingle. So now it's almost to the fact that you're paying for a full new roof yourself. So it kind of works a double sword in a way that it's important for you, again, to know exactly what type of policy you have.
Well, and then not only just policy-wise, but because they changed. Somebody actually just asked me this the other day. They were like, how many layers can you have? I was like, yeah. So
there was an order. There was a rule that back in the day, you were able to put shingles over shingles over shingles up to 3 layers. And now, obviously, that has changed completely with other different codes as well, where you do have to show that you have to go all the way to the decking. Decking's bad, things like that. Obviously, you can't shingle over that either, which is good because you want to have a good product over another good product, and that's going to help it even more so.
Well, and that was a big cost factor within the last year as well, because with wood prices going up,
yes,
decking went up. So decking is essentially like when you go into your attic space, that wood that you see when you look up at the roof part.
Correct.
And it almost looks like a composite wood trunks kind of glued together essentially.
Yeah,
OSB board is another way.
One piece, yeah.
Right. So because wood prices went up, decking went up, which caused the per square price of roofs to increase.
And again, it falls back to the insurance, what they're going to pay.
Right.
Because mostly, hey, the storm damaged this, but it didn't damage this, so why would we pay for that?
Right.
So there's always arguments with the actual insurance of saying what they're responsible for and what they're not. So again, extremely important to know exactly what you have and what you are covered for.
Right, because so with people maybe have had a roof for a really long time and never changed it, that board breaks down over time, and when water gets underneath it, if it hasn't been caulked really well, or if they put a satellite dish on it, those kind of things, that the water gets in and starts to soften that board.
Correct.
So you'll hear and I do it because like I want to tell them some of the terms, because when you hear it, if you're just like the layman, you're like, what does that mean? Like, is that important? Should I be panicked? Is where it's soft, is that the fear is, as you guys are walking on the roof, that you'll go through because the board is soft and won't hold. And then it can create mold on the other side and all sorts of other issues. So oftentimes when they go and they take that roof off, they're checking that decking to make sure that it's not soft.
Okay.
But like you said, it depends on the level of the storm, the age of the roof, that kind of thing. As far as like, it's insurance, so they don't often cover 100%. But I know that was some of what came up last year. They weren't covering 100% of the board. Like it was like $9, but it was costing like 12 or 13, and so it offset some of the costs. But it's just like with anything that there's going to be shortages or abundance of.
Yeah, and stuff. In general, the insurance is not going to cover your decking. I still haven't found. There's a difference between that normal decking that, Andrea, you're talking about, between space decking. So they're used to use almost like a 2x4, let's just say that's mostly known, across the whole, obviously on top of your house. So instead of your plain decking, they use boards, and that had space in between, which is fine. But now Insurance actually does pay for in the case that you do have space decking because they want plywood up there and be a solid one piece as much as possible.
Right.
Right.
And then roof vents.
Roof vents. Yeah, well, I mean, in general, a roof is not meant to have, holes on top. But we do obviously have exhaustion, that air needs to come in and go out. Those are normal, but therefore there's two types. You have your ridge, and then you have your turtle vents. Those little shells that look up there, we just call them turtle vents, but
sometimes they're square.
Yeah. But then there's also ridge vent that you can't see it, so they just open a hole across the house there and then call it. Some people aesthetically, they don't like the way turtle vents look.
Right.
So, and it also just depends on the house.
Right, because I saw it was an older house, but with the way so the roof was kind of like like this, and right along here. Wait, let me go that way. Like right along here. Was where it looked almost like a ridge vent, but on the side of the. And I was like, oh, I've not seen that before. Which, I mean, it didn't bother me, but obviously if it creates that air in that attic space,
for it.
so that the decking stays dry and then it helps the insulation of the house. So, because I came across the one that you just did for me, like they foamed in the attic space and they foamed through the turtle vents, so it kind of defeated the purpose of having the turtle vents because it was totally foamed and like no air was getting through.
There's absolutely no air coming through there.
So I think people don't there's a couple things I think that when you go to have your roof that you look at is not only just a turtle vent or a ridge vent, but also bathroom vents at that time.
Yeah.
Because code changed and bathrooms weren't required to be vented out of the house in older homes, so they stopped in the ridge attic instead of coming out of the house, like into soffits or whatever. Correct. And sometimes I've seen them go to turtle vents.
Correct.
There's just different ways to do it. But if you're getting a new roof, that's the perfect time to update something like that. Only because you don't want that hot, moist air from your bathroom fan, like when you take really hot showers, going into your attic space, just kind of hanging out, because that's when you see mold and mildew and stuff like that grow underneath that decking and on the insulation.
Yeah. And insulation obviously is tricky because it can hold so much and then it'll dry up so you don't see it, and it kind of gets under things, and it's until it's too much that you really start seeing it. When it's insulated there, and unfortunately that's already too late.
Right, because it's already kind of done its stuff. Yeah,
exactly. So insulation obviously has that it will absorb everything, but it shouldn't do that. It should have a nice airflow and intake for it to grab it and then push it out where it needs to. And then again, going back to ridge and turtle vents, depending on the house, it all depends on the shape. We always recommend ridge, just because it will have that nice opening, solid opening. But most houses need that turtle because they have different angles of that house.
Okay.
So obviously still needs that air to come out, but it's not enough to have a ridge. So if the house is long enough, we usually recommend ridge.
Okay.
But turtles are obviously very important because these houses are completely very shaped.
Right.
So the shape of the house is recommended for turtles at that point.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, so the other thing that I think has come up really interesting this year is gutters.
Yeah.
And downspouts, because I would say one of the biggest things I'm seeing right now is, and especially as we're headed towards March and April, showers.
Showers, yes.
Showers, not snow. And even as snow melts, because once it melts off the roof, it's going down to the gutters, and the gutters are taking it away.
Yep.
I would say it is probably one of the number one things I see on houses right now. The mistake is that the downspouts don't come far enough away from the house.
Yeah, we run into that issue all the time, and they always, obviously, you can go to Home Depot and buy those plastic, but again, aesthetically doesn't look right, and it's not part of the house.
They don't. Wait, I gotta go that way. They don't connect correctly, so like that's why if there's a heavy enough rain, they loosen up and you'll have some sag. Mm-hmm. And where you have sag, then that water goes backwards. And so then it's essentially staying at the foundation instead of going away from the foundation.
Correct.
So you want that, it's like doing one of those marble mazes, for lack of a better term, is that you want the marble is the water, you want the water to come away from the house. And so by having, a downspout and then having it go far enough away from the foundation so that it's not causing the water, because the water, not only just when you have showers in March and April, but then as we get into October, November, when you have that middle where it's still kind of rainy, but then it starts to freeze, it'll cause heaving near your house, your driveways, that kind of stuff. And that's where you see some of those broken up driveways.
Exactly.
And that's one of the other things, is trying to take downspouts away from driveways so that they're not like right on an edge, because that'll cause heaving. It'll cause the driveway to break up. There's just so much. Water's wicked.
Well, yeah, no, water needs to run. So whatever is there, it's gonna do its job to. If it's the downspout hits right on that landing right by your house, it's gonna stay there. That's actually a huge clue for me of how old that roof might be, because the spouts, if you look at your downspouts, between the difference, and they're a lot bigger now.
Right. Yes.
And they actually do have a connector elbow to them, because that was a big issue. And I think any time, again, that is a perfect time that you're adding. Make sure that they do add an extension to your downspouts to get it out of the way from your foundation.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like you said, ones that fold up, so that if it's an area that you would have grass or whatever, that you can fold it up, but then remember to fold it down. And like, because we had our old house in Bellevue, my dad used to take the downspouts off to mow the yard, and one time forgot to put them back on, wound up with water in the basement. So it's one of those where, yeah, I'm remembering. And sometimes you can do some of the rollout depending on where they're at, like if it's in a weird spot, where you'll have issue with that also.
Correct.
I think it was interesting because Tuesday with the snow, seeing where it melted, and then where you saw some of the ice tells you like how some of your flow of water is around your property also. So it's always a good and fun thing. So before we go, we'll do a couple like fun things. So many of you may not know, he's gonna blush, but so Eddie is also an amazing volleyball player. So I was lucky enough to get him to play some sand volleyball last year. But really, your go-to is soccer.
Yes, I get lucky sometimes, and I close my eyes and kick
You play
the ball.
for the Omaha Knights, though.
Kings.
The Kings, sorry.
Yes.
See, I'm not a total soccer. I know that you play, but...
So, no, Omaha Kings is a semi-pro indoor team. We are currently in first place.
Woo!
We started as an M3, and we won that. They moved us to M2, currently in first place, and hopefully we'll have a pro team indoor next year. So semi-pro going into pro.
Okay.
We're looking at several different locations, such as Rawson Arena is one of the options. And I think indoor, literally there's no other competition for it.
Really?
So you have outdoor, you have the Owls, which are pretty good, but then you have your college, which is Creighton, which is they're an amazing
huge
team.
Soccer, yeah.
UNO, which they keep getting better by the year. So that's outdoor. And for those who don't know, indoor is basically like your hockey. It's fast. There's lots of goals. There's lots of fouls. So it's a fast sport. Lots of goals, lots of action. So looking forward to that. Been part of that for a while now. This is my second year with them. But 10 years ago, Omaha did have a pro team indoor. They were called the Omaha Vipers.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
I was part of that.
Okay.
So 10 years for that, and I'm still playing, which
is awesome.
It's a blessing. So
you started when you were like 10,
No, actually, yeah, no, I did start fairly young. I was 13 when I started playing soccer, but now you have kids playing at 5 years old.
That's awesome.
They're now even walking, they're playing soccer.
So what got you into soccer? What was soccer?
Well, soccer just helped me through everything. It helped me learning English. That was part of it. Being in a team sport, you have to learn how to communicate, and it was easy, it was fun, and just picked it up. Kind of was pretty good. Got me through college. Paid all my college, so played a little semi-pro, played pro. So it's just been good to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So fun. And it's, well, because here, football is a little more popular, but you go Europe, Mexico, like soccer is their football.
Yes, people that know sports, I mean, football is amazing and basketball is amazing, but it's mostly played here. You go anywhere else in the world, soccer is literally, they live for that. It's a huge passion of it. So if you grow up with that, then it just comes with you. And I mean, the World Cup is coming here too. So not this year. This year will be in Qatar, but 4 years from now, they're actually going to share it with Canada, U.S., and Mexico.
Oh, wow.
So I guess every time that happens, I mean, even girls soccer is getting
huge stuff now,
so,
yeah.
Soccer is picking up, and it's a great sport.
Oh, no.
So.
Love, 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 love. So, if you could play for any soccer team, local, national, who would you play for?
Obviously, a dream would be playing for the team that you grew up watching.
Okay.
So, I was born and raised in Guadalajara. Their professional team is called Las Chivas, and obviously would play for them. But if I had a dream and they can make me an amazing soccer player, I would play for Barcelona, which is one of my favorite teams in Spain.
Okay.
Yes.
Very fun. Well, that is our 30 minutes.
That went fast.
I said it would go fast.
You did.
So, if you guys have questions, reach out to me or Eddie. I will put
Please.
Eddie's contact into the video because obviously these videos are for you to view. I'm in the works to put together a YouTube channel so that they're all accessible there as well. But storm season is coming, or maybe you just want somebody to take a look at your roof, your siding, your gutters. We can do all that fun stuff and we'll make it come together. So we will see you. We're 30 Minutes with the Realtor is always the second Wednesday of the month. And next month, I'm going to be talking with Van Deeb, somebody I've known in the business and actually finally got to do a deal after 15 years. So he'll be joining me next month and we'll be talking some stuff that's real estate based. We haven't kind of decided what we're going to talk about yet. We're kind of watching the market to do that. So thanks for joining us for 30 Minutes with the Realtor. I'm Andrea Lane.
Adios.